Hi, everybody. Welcome to our show number 701. We're live again in Studio B here at the Beach Street Yacht Club on a lovely day, beautiful day here.
It is.
In San Francisco, isn't it, Julia?
It is. It is.
My co-host, the Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club, a proud member of the St. Francis Yacht Club, and more, Julia Vedekent. I'm your host, Tom Eamon, here in the studio. We're delighted to have you all here again for as we start our next set of 700. Are we going to go to 1,400? We can't decide what we're going to do. We're just happy to be alive. I'm happy to wake up in the morning at our advanced age, right?
Indeed.
Any hot tips before we get going here?
No, I don't.
None?
No.
Oh, come on. Got to be one tip.
I like the new Brubeck.
It's Brubeck-ish. It's not Brubeck.
Yeah.
Oh, man, everybody's checking. Sorry we were a couple minutes late there. A lot of breaking news in this show. Ted Ryman's on from Cape Town, Gordon Smith in Denmark, Alistair Murray down under where it's cold, dark, and early in Metung. You all are off summertime down there now, aren't you? Down under, both in Australia and New Zealand, where you celebrate, where you do change the time zones in Australia. Stingray, I'm over the moon for today's show.
Great idea.
Christopher Gillingham, fair winds from Leamington. Julia, I got to start with the care package.
Yes.
Here is the letter that came from Christopher and Jane,
Yes.
the Gillinghams, in Leamington. And while you're just taking a quick look at that, I will say they sent us a burgee from their yacht club.
Oh, how nice.
What's it? It's the name is on the piece of paper down there near the bottom of their club, and we're going to try to get them a Beach Street Yacht Club burgee, the burgee that's up over you there,
Yeah.
and in trade for their club burgee. Mm-hmm. And if you look back here on the set behind me, they've all
Ashlet Sailing Club.
Ashlet Sailing Club.
Yeah.
Indeed. And if you look back here, you notice the first thing you noticed when you came into the studio
I did.
today, an hour ago, was this can,
The Bravo Zulu.
the Bravo Zulu Pilsner, which apparently is a UK powder. Can you see that? Powder Monkey Brewing Company.
Yes.
Powder Monkey Brewing Company. Alcohol 4.4%. It's empty. It arrived empty. No
Yes.
surprise.
No
But
surprise.
a Bravo Zulu. So I think from now on, when there's a Bravo Zulu, maybe we'll hold that up. Maybe,
Just in case.
maybe we won't, Julia. So that came from Christopher and Jane Gillingham in Leamington. Rick Banner, Fair Dinkum from sunny Roy, Connecticut. Hello, Fozy, Tom, and Julia. Alan Long, it's in balmy northeastern Ohio, where Julie Ahrens is as well. Chris Exley is in springy, sunny Salem, Mass.
Wow.
Gordon Smith, I'm enjoying the new intro music. I got a Dave Brubeck feel to it as well. He agrees with you, Julia.
Right.
Peter Taylor's in New York City. J. Frederick Bland, who was in the path of that solar eclipse yesterday, but I'm not sure how his weather was in Austin, Texas. Good advice. Smile because you've made it another day. Exactly.
Yes.
I was happy when I wake up. Mary Longpree down in Newport Beach, or maybe, she is in Newport Beach.
Yes.
She's back from Arizona where they winter. Joe Holtzman's in sunny Colorado. Christopher Gilling, we mentioned, Bravo Zulu. And Matt Zicky's on. Bonsoir. He's an American who, in the Bay Area originally, where I first met him. He's now living in France. He had a stint in another interesting city in Europe. We won't talk about that.
Yes.
I think he probably knows your friend John Gomes, Julia.
Aha.
If that's not a clue.
Yes, indeed.
Clark Chapin, good day from sunny and eclipse-free Plymouth, Michigan. And yeah, it was a great care package. Gordon Smith, I agree. We thank them again very much.
Yes.
And Mark, safe from the solar eclipse. Boomer Bland, J. Frederick Bland, we got a cloud-shrouded view at totality there in Austin, Texas. Started, over Mazatlan in southern Mexico. It was swept across the middle part of the U.S. and up through Cleveland, where Julie Ahrens was out. I said, Julia, take a video, take a picture and send it to us. She did, but she couldn't figure out how to get it downloaded.
Well, they say that. Don't try to take a picture of it.
Why not?
Because by the time you finish fiddling with your camera, it's over.
It's no problem.
So, but there were some great and a great series of pictures actually on TV.
Well, and Ellen Long said I was in Austin for the eclipse. Clouds parted. I don't know, Julia, what the big deal was about this eclipse. First, it was the earthquake on Friday. You would think those people on the East Coast had never heard of an earthquake, let alone experienced one. Jeez. And then we had one over the weekend.
Yeah.
That was as strong as nearly as strong as the one they had in New York,
Right.
in New York and New Jersey.
And didn't even faze anybody.
I had to go looking all over in the earthquake bots online to find out that there even, people even recognized that there was one.
Yeah.
Show 701, Tuesday the 9th of April. Thanks, everybody. We had a great time with our 700th show on Friday. If you were with us, thank you very much for joining us for that show. It was good fun. And we it is only a number. We really didn't do much celebrating, did we, Julia?
No.
Just other than the fact that we were still alive.
We enjoyed the day.
We did.
We're supposed to.
We did. Speaking of things that arrived in the mail, Julia, we also got this gorgeous 2024. Maybe I put it on camera one. It'll be easier for everybody to see. 2024 International Maxi Association Yearbook. I now must have 5 or 6 of these, courtesy of our good friend and super Fozy, Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin.
Yes.
And this book is fabulous. And if you can persuade him or James Boyd, who's the editor, puts it all together for the owners. But it's nice to come from a class with a lot of money, like the Maxis are, but it's also a classy organization and some smart people that are running it, starting with the president.
Exactly.
The French gentleman whose name is Benoit de Froidmont. I don't know how to say that in French. Nice letter from the president. There it is, down in the lower left, and from Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin, with whom I texted this morning, Julie.
Oh, good.
He's recovering from his back surgery.
I'm so glad.
He's in good shape.
Oh, good.
He's in good shape. He's got a walk. I think he did a bit of a walk today, and the pain is localized, he said, but he's doing well.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
Speaking, we got some crouton on here who's spamming us, Julia.
Oh, really?
Famey somebody or another.
Oh, there we are.
You want to get rid of that one?
Yes.
James Bland notified. There's that. I'm just going to read James Bland's while you get rid of that one. It's the last time there will be a total eclipse over North America for the next 400 years, I think. So I guess that's why people got so excited about it. But big effing deal. I remember seeing these things growing up as a kid and then some, Julia. So it's just another day, another eclipse. Did someone mention the time? I will have to watch him replay Walking at Balmoral. Larry Kennedy, in from shaking New York City. Actually, the subways make more rumble. Yesterday, what a great day for the pickpockets. Did we get rid of that crouton yet? You got to click in the lower left corner and you can do something about getting rid of that message. Speaking of this North American, here is the eclipse, courtesy of Lance Berg, who, a.k.a. Foghorn.
It took me a while to realize that he was Foghorn.
He is. And Marine Images, that's Graham Sweeney saying, once you've seen one eclipse, you've seen them all. Well, I go back and play it again. This was a time lapse, sped up, obviously, of it crossing across North America. It started out in Mexico and back and disappeared after that. Big effing deal. This is what we saw here in San Francisco. That was the extent of our totality here, but that's what you saw if you went. We had a nice day here to see it. But again, what you look up at the sun, which I did not do, you still, without a pinhole thing or some special sunglasses or whatever. But I did go outside. Julia, you see that? I did go outside, but I didn't look. I didn't look. That's what totality looked like. And I know the astronomers and the physicists and the astrophysicists and so on, they can study the sun, what do you call those? The things that blast off from the sun. Come on. What are those? Flares.
Flares,
There's some better name than that. Okay, there it is. We covered it. Bloody hell, who gives a flying? James Frederick Bland made a mistake. Much has been said about the fact that a total solar eclipse won't be visible again from the contiguous U.S. until August 22, 2044, but totality will only occur over North Dakota and Montana. The next total solar eclipse with a coast-to-coast path spanning the lower 48 states will occur on August 12, 2045. As I said, big deal. Corona, prominences, flares. There's J. Frederick Bland, the egghead that he is. A solar flare. Ed Worley weighing in as well.
Yeah.
There it is, Julia. Our last look, at least on this show,
Yes.
of the bloody solar eclipse that everybody got so excited about here in the States. I get excited about Bravo Zulus. Here's the can, Julia.
Yeah.
Here is the can.
Yes.
We got the Gillingham can.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you very much for that. Christopher and Jane, we appreciate very much. And we have a Bravo Zulu here. This is not what you're expecting. You think this is our cover story? Not yet. Bravo Zulu to this lady, whom I had never heard of until this week. Her name is Lisa Blair, not to be confused with Linda Blair.
Uh-huh.
She has set a world sailing speed record, yet to be confirmed, but no doubt it will be. Sydney to Auckland solo.
Wow.
And she did this over the weekend. She finished over the weekend. Australian record-breaking solo sailor Lisa Blair has set 2 new world sailing speed records to be ratified by the WSSRC, the World Sailing Speed Record Council, for the fastest time Sydney to Auckland and first woman solo monohull record, slicing an incredible more than 4 days off the record to finish, doing it in 8 days, 3 hours, and change. The previous record set on the 22nd of January 2020 by retired Australian veteran James Prasevich with a time of 12 days, 14 hours, and change.
Yeah.
Lisa was greeted at the finish line off Rangitoto Island with a hooting welcome crowd before making her way, escorted by host RNZ, the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, to the West Haven Marina. So bravo,
How nice for her.
Bravo Zulu to her, exactly. The journey of more than 1,400 nautical miles was peppered with fluky winds and lightning storms, squalls and over 30 knots, then hours of calm, a knockdown and closely. This is obviously written for the non-sailing crowd. Quote, on this trip, the weather and seas threw every element at me, and because it was a short window, I have hardly slept and really pushed my settings, I think we would say her trim or her adjustments the whole way, or settings. The boat has performed superbly, but I am pretty exhausted, unquote, she said after 8 sleep-deprived days and nights. Lisa's campaign was to cross the ditch for climate action now, and I almost said, oh gosh, is this more virtual signaling? Do I really have to run this? But it turns out it's not for climate action now, even though that's the name of her campaign. It's about, as you see in that next little bit, raising awareness of ocean pollution issues and advocating for everyone to make a change for the health of the ocean. And we can all not only get behind that, but we all support that, right, Julia?
Absolutely.
We all absolutely do support that. So bravo Zulu to her. There is the path of her trip, Sydney to Auckland, 1,200 nautical miles. This was before she actually successfully made the trip. But her next thing, her next gig, is the circumnavigation of New Zealand. New Zealand, distance of 2,200 nautical miles, estimated 14 to 16 days, and she is going to take that up in due course.
Good.
You're not impressed.
I am.
I'm impressed. I mean, why is that not cool?
It is cool.
Now, so in coming days, she will now embark on her next campaign, sailing a new record for Auckland to Auckland, around New Zealand, to become the first person to complete the trip solo, she hopes, in 15 to 18 days. Lisa, I didn't know this either. Lisa is the current world record holder for solo sailing nonstop and unassisted around Antarctica. That's got to have been an ugly trip. She did that in 2022, breaking the record by 10 days to add to her 4 other world records. Following the New Zealand projects, Lisa also plans for an Arctic world record. The feature film about her Antarctic voyage, Ice Maiden, where we heard the name Maiden used, will have its world premiere at the Dock Edge Film Festival in New Zealand in June. And as usual, we do the research and we have the trailer for that.
When you're out there on your own, there's nobody else you can rely on. You're so far from help. From what I could tell, and my meteorologist and my other advisors could tell, the swell was going to be a little bit bigger and the storms were going to be more frequent. I thought I'd ticked every box. I'd done everything I could possibly do to make it safer, but it didn't change the fact that I was still thrown in that life or death situation. Everything was like mounting up. And after 5 days of just extreme sleep deprivation, I just felt like I couldn't keep going. I felt like the world was telling me not to go, and I started listening to those doubters, and I started listening to the naysayers that were saying, don't go, you can't do it.
I'm so close to home.
I have to step up, I have to figure out a way, I have to make it work.
Cabin's been demolished because I've just been ripping stuff apart. Just can't go through it again.
If you haven't prepared for something, if you haven't thought about all the risk, if you haven't thought about all the scenarios you might encounter, then you're not going to succeed out there.
Ice Maiden. So that'll be at the film festival down in New Zealand in June. The Ocean Film Festival World Tour is making its debut in New Zealand. We'll look forward to seeing the whole thing. And somehow, somebody give us a report if you get to see it. As I said in the show notes and at the start of the segment, this is Lisa Blair, the Aussie, not to be confused with
Linda Blair.
Linda Blair. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
What movie? What year?
Oh.
Linda Blair. I thought Lisa Blair, and I said, she's got the same name as the actress, who at age 14 starred in the movie. Here's your second clue. Remember that?
Yes.
Remember the name of the movie? You're not Catholic, so you won't remember. Peter Taylor's got it. Chris Exley's got it.
Yeah.
Alistair Murray, the president of Australian Sailing. I know Lisa, very nice and very determined. Boomer's got it. Steve Gruber, The Exorcist, 76. I think it was 73. But you got it. That's the movie. Here was probably the most famous scene in that movie. Remember that? How they filmed. Apparently, she suffered some images. They dragged her around in a harness and up and down when they did the levitation. But however, how they filmed this, where her head swiveled around like a proverbial what do you call those birds whose heads swivel? An owl.
Oh yeah.
Right.
All right.
Probably the most famous scene from the 1973 movie The Exorcist. Linda Blair, I think she was 14 at the time.
I don't think I've ever seen the whole thing.
Oh, I have.
I don't know that I want to.
Why not? Why not? I think you'd like it.
You think so?
Oh, no.
Too
It's
bloody.
for teenage boys. It was for teenage boys then, and it's for these movies that are coming out. Nothing plays except these shoot 'em up, bang 'em up movies that teenage boys like.
Yeah.
What happened to rom-coms?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. I got to work on that.
Your flags are there in that dead space in the lower right corner of your
that's
shot.
nice.
Huh? I moved those because I knew you
know.
didn't like those blue flowers.
Yes.
Julia, you love it. It's a real, Sweeney says, the Marine Images. You'll love it. It's a real head turner. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, the head turner. There it is. Julia, what are we celebrating today? There's your clue.
Looks like a lime Ricky.
Close. Close. The Brits will like this. And it's being celebrated in the U.S. I don't know if it's being celebrated beyond, but it
Gimlet.
is.
Not a gimlet.
Close. Today in the U.S., April 9th, every year is
Gin and tonic. Oh, okay.
National Gin and Tonic Day. Julie Aaron says she hates horror movies, but she loved The Eclipse. She said it was fabulous. Today is National Gin and Tonic Day here in the U.S., and every April 9th, There on the yachting motif are a couple of plastic glasses with gin G&Ts in them. Gin has had a roller coaster ride by falling in and out of fashion throughout the ages. Its origin is even more interesting. Gin and tonic, as you probably know, was invented by the officers of the Presidency Armies, the armed forces of the East India Company operating in the Indian subcontinent. Malaria was a frequent problem for Europeans living in India and other tropical regions during this time. In the 1700s, Scottish physician George Cleghorn researched the use of quinine in the prevention of malaria. Quinine was consumed along with tonic water, but had a bitter taste. In the 19th century, early 19th century, the officers of the Presidency Armies began adding a mixture of water, sugar, lime, and good old
Gin.
gin to quinine to make the drink easier to go down. I'll have a medicine. I'll have a glass. That's how the famous gin and tonic cocktail was born. It was easy to make this drink as the officers were already given gin as part of their ration. Since tonic water is not used as an anti-malarial medicine these days, well, how would you know? It has lower quantities of quinine and is usually sweet and not at all bitter as it used to be, Julia.
Well, we've all had our different flavors of gin and tonics.
I don't know. I was never a big fan of gin. I don't know why. My dad didn't like gin, and therefore I felt like gin was,
Yeah.
it was the drink that you saw people in the gutter. Sorry to all of our British friends
I know.
who love a G&T. My daughter, Meg, likes gin and tonic. We like the people who support us via Patreon. Thank you very much for your support. It keeps us going. We got another patron via patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated in the last week. We appreciate very much indeed your support. Keeps our studio operating, keeps us on the air, keeps our internet connection.
Yes.
Once again, we're dropping 0 frames. Hopefully that will continue through the show. And we're working really hard to bring you a high quality show. Vodka tonic works for me, Julie Aaron says. A nice way to take your medicine, Ed Worley is saying, just a spoonful of sugar
Makes
the medicine go down. What movie was that from? The medicine go down, the medicine go down. Julie Andrews.
Yeah.
And the name of the movie was, it was about London.
Yeah.
It was about the nanny who flew on her umbrella.
Umbrella, yeah.
Who else was in the movie? He's still around. He's 90-something. Not 100%.
Oh,
Dick
Van Dyke.
Well done. See, Julie, all that singing and pumping of your arms before the show clears your brain up. Mary Poppins.
Yes.
J. Frederick Bland, Mary Poppins, Dick Van Dyke. Look at all these smart people on here. I will not get that song out of my head for the rest of the day. I'll be singing just a spoonful of sugar. Patreon, I thought that was the tequila you guys like. Well, I've stopped drinking on my 70th birthday, and I thought I'd feel better, but I don't. I don't feel any different.
No.
I'm more crotonic than ever. Oh my goodness, that gets us into the heart of the show, and I like to always start with our super fozzy John Emmett, who's checking in. Once again, the guy is making his way around the world, at least halfway around the world. He's back in China. He's this time not in Shanghai, but in Hong Kong. And he's at a club called the Hebe, H-E-B-E, Hebe or Hebe, I'm not sure how they pronounce it locally, let alone in Chinese, the Hebe Haven Yacht Club. It's formed, I think, in 63, no doubt by some expat Brits. It's up there in Sai Kung, kind of to the northeast, I can't talk myself, so Sai Kung, northeast of Hong Kong, in this beautiful bay, and it's look at that, exactly.
Yeah.
Very active sailing area, and coming up here in a couple months, they are going to host a Steering the Course Women's Sailing Festival, and it's a bit of a deal. This club is very big on attracting people, men, women, and otherwise, disabled, able-bodied, and so on, into our beloved sport. There, I've used the word once. And on the 21st through the 30th of May, they will, in conjunction with the IOC, and World Sailing, they'll have one of these Steering the Course women's sailing festivals. They got a bunch of club-owned boats. It's a cool thing. And it's supported, as I said, by the IOC Development Fund. And World Sailing have launched the Global Women's Sailing Festival titled Steering the Course in upcoming May, intending to improve gender equality in the sport of sailing. Hebe, or Hebe, let's say Hebe, it looks more fun and anglicized. Hebe Haven Yacht Club and Sailability Hong Kong will be part of this global event, organizing on and off the waters and activities in Hong Kong from the 21st of May through the 30th, including the highlighted competition HHYC Open Dinghy Regatta, where local and international sailors will come together to showcase their skills for an action-packed 2-day competition. Sounds like quite a deal. Sounds like this club is very active, especially in the small boat scene in and around the greater Hong Kong area. And that's where we find John Emmett as we speak.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. Well, I'm back in the Asian time zone, although the clocks have changed, so it's only a 7-hour difference, and it's really nice to be here in Hong Kong, just here for a week. And then the only good thing about the clocks changing when I go back will be into Monday and Wednesday evening racing. So if I look at my background here, hope I'm going to say this correctly, I'm at Hebe Haven Yacht Club with Lily, who's our gorgeous camera lady, and I'm just following her around as often the case. Now, first of all, I was going to talk a little bit about the Princess Sofía regatta, and it is strange for me actually to have been in the UK while that was going on. I think if you forget about the pandemic, that'll be the first one I've missed in over 20 years. And this is actually quite a benchmark for who's likely to perform at the Olympic Games. And I would say it was quite a mixed regatta. So you have people like Mickey Beckett, who did an outstanding performance, winning with a day to spare. But at the same time, you've also got many of the constant performers who were really struggling. So I think the Olympic Games is going to be, wow, it's going to be close. For me, sailing is a consistency sport. So some of the faster elements with the IQ foil, the kite surfing, they have a bit of an unusual format. And I always just feel that at the end of the day, the most important thing is the person who's standing on the podium is the person who sailed best over the entire week, not just that singular race. But I guess we're here with this format to stay, and I do hope we go away from the format of winner takes it all. But anyway, back to Hong Kong. So it's really nice to be somewhere a little bit warmer, although I do feel it's trying to have a little rain. And the thing I was going to talk to you about Hebe Haven Yacht Club is sailability, because here this particular sailing club and particular Hong Kong is leading the way in Asian sailability. And sailing, it really is a sport that anyone can participate for. And it's not about segregation, it's about inclusivity. So one of the classes I have a very fond spot for is the 2.4. My friend Hannah Lucas won the Paralympics in 2012, and Megan Pascoe actually did the World Championships 1 or 2 times, and these are people I grew up with. I remember Helena teaching me to sail at Crawley Mariners with the topper, and when I moved to the bigger water of Weirwood, I've been friends with the Pascoe family for many years, and they've actually all moved to Castle Cove now. And if you look at this class, the 2.4, you've got the situation where you have over 100 boats, and maybe only 35% of them are going to be those which are the non-able-bodied. But everybody gets the opportunity to race together. And in fact, if you look at the top 10, it's often 50-50. So I think it's important to give everybody the opportunity to sail. So Hebe Yacht Club, Hebe Haven, they've done an amazing job just getting the funding and putting more people on the water. And it's not just physical disabilities, it's mental disabilities as well. And giving people that little bit of a chance to have that escapism. If you talk to Lily, one of the things she will always say is she felt that sailing just gave her the freedom, and we want to give everyone that opportunity. And in terms of Asia, there's a huge population, so bringing the sport to Asia as a whole and making it a normal thing, not just a rich person thing, but an inclusive thing for everybody is so important. So we're trying here to spread the word, to encourage people to come and to make sailing clubs more accessible. So it's not you have to have an interview and there's a huge waiting list and there's a great big iron gate on the back that's saying members only. We want new members welcome. We have pay and play, and we have people actually encouraging people to be new to sailing. So flying stop in Hong Kong. I'm going to try and see some of the other facilities here, but the take-home message I'd like everyone to have, and I said, you know, I feel they're really leading the way here, is about inclusivity. Now, females in sailing is just another key area here, and I will try and look a little bit at steering the course, because again, this is something that is a wonderful project and would like to give it my full performance and full support.
Thank you, John. Terrific stuff, as always. And I don't know what I like more than the Fosey. I mean, I love the Fosey, and starting to meet. I still have not met John. We haven't met him in person. But the other thing I really like about what John and others are doing is helping introduce us to other clubs.
Absolutely. It's wonderful.
It is wonderful.
There's a conversation here that Ted Ryman says, "Don't fall in, Lily. Walking backwards on a pontoon is a bit dodgy." And Alistair Murray comes back and says, "I was thinking the same thing." And then Stingray says that the lady taking the video seems sensibly centered on that dock. So
Lily is taking the video, I'm sure.
Yep. And she ought to know that there are at least 3 handsome men looking out for her.
Oh, you are something else. 3 handsome men, Julia.
Why not?
Well, why not? And to say nothing of John.
Well,
He's got a haircut.
Yeah, right.
Now, I speaking of yacht clubs, I did a little more research on the Hebe Haven Yacht Club, and I think in the process, either they've just replaced their building or are in the process. I think that's their building there in the upper left corner of that shot, their main sort of clubhouse building. John shot it at least initially in that video across the way. This is why we love you, Julia, Ted Ryman is saying. Jeez, he is such a cad.
Oh, he's a wonderful cad, though.
He is. But it's obviously a nice facility. And the club, according to Wikipedia, owns 50 dinghies and runs dinghy sail training courses for members and non-members. The club's fleet includes 10 Optimus, 15 Laser Picos, 9 Laser Standard, 4 Laser Bahias, and 4 Laser Stratos. So I haven't even heard of some of those. Dinghy racing and supervised dinghy practice sessions are held almost every weekend, with enthusiasm for this being led by get this, the junior members of the club. The club also now runs an annual 24-hour charity dinghy race every autumn, where other clubs and organizations are encouraged to participate. The Sailing Center manager is Rob Allen, and he has taken the Sail Training Center to new heights. The club also employs approximately a dozen assistant instructors from within the club's junior sailors to assist with operations.
What a good idea.
Yeah. It sounds like a cool place. No surprise John has found it and is feeding it. Yacht racing is very, according, again, the Wikipedia article, which no doubt the club wrote, yacht racing is a very popular among Hebe members, and races are held almost every weekend. The most popular series for cruisers in Hong Kong, the Typhoon Series, attracts a significant number of entrants every summer. Everybody is invited to participate, and there is always a need for extra crew, irrespective of experience. Now, Julia, you would think that a club like that, if it were a proper club, would have a proper bar. And I can attest
and it does.
that it does. It looks like a beautiful facility, a nice deck and dining room out there to the right.
Yep.
Beautiful clubhouse. And what do you think, Julia, is the name of their magazine? The Hebe Haven Yacht Club.
I don't know.
It is the Hebe.
Heebie-jeebies.
I kid you not.
Oh, how lovely.
Huh?
How lovely.
The Heebie-jeebies is the name of their club. monthly or bi-monthly. This is the March-April 2024 edition, the Heebie-Jeebies.
I love it.
Now, I wonder how many people outside of the UK and the US, I suppose Australia, have heard, there's Gordon Smith, the Heebie-Jeebies. Perhaps Hebe would like to present themselves to us all on SI. It would be great to have a guided tour. Maybe John can arrange that while he's there, Julie. What do you think?
Yeah.
You think he could do that?
Sure.
But I digress here because you know how I like to go off on Tom's tangential croutonicism. I have researched the heebie-jeebies.
Oh, good.
Do you know where the expression comes from?
Somebody who's nervous.
Well, that's what it means.
Yeah.
Okay, so here it is. Why do we say the heebie-jeebies and who started this? According to WYTV, which is in Ohio there near Julie Aaron's, Youngstown, Ohio, to have the heebie-jeebies means you're anxious, nervously fearful. Some synonyms include the butterflies, the jitters, and you've got the nerves, the shakes, the shivers, or the willies.
Right.
Okay. But heebie-jeebies is a nonsense phrase that a cartoonist named Bill Debeck coined in 1923 for his comic strip Barney Google. Google goes way back to 1923.
Wow.
I wonder if that's where the company got the name. I thought it was something to do with gazillions or something.
Yeah, it's a
Googles.
measure. Yeah.
It does. It goes back to the earlier rhyming phrases such as hocus pocus and mumbo jumbo. Alan Long says it's what you feel like after being blown to smithereens. Alistair Murray's been there, visiting Hebe Island Yacht Club or Hebe Haven Yacht Club, a great place. Look at that. We're all jealous.
Yeah.
Okay, so soon everyone was, after this cartoonist was popularized the expression apparently, was using the phrase, and the great jazz artist Louis Armstrong recorded a song with that title that started a dance craze. Do you remember this? I don't. Little Richard recorded a song called Heebie-Jeebies in 1956, Julia.
I was in my prime and I don't remember the name.
Well, I was 3 years old and I don't remember the name for sure. The Heebie-Jeebies is also an a cappella group from Canada. Now, the Heebie-Jeebies was a pop group that was a comedy parody of the Bee Gees, the brothers Gibb. Mostly popular in Australia, misspelled. I didn't write this. The group's first single was called Meaningless Songs in Very High Voices.
Okay.
Only the Australians taking the piss, as they would say, out of the brothers Gibb. There they are.
Wow.
In 1964.
Wow.
The Bee Gees, they were born, I think, in the Isle of Man, but they're Brits who emigrated to Oz. Barry, Robin, and Maurice Gibbs. And I don't know which picture is worse, Julia, this one or this one.
Oh, this is in their heyday, though. That was, yeah.
The 70s and the 80s. James Bland said, a good thing. I once had a math teacher who gave me the heebie-jeebies if you gave me a particularly off-the-mark answer. Steve Groover, heebie-jeeb makes me think of the CBG. Okay, he's got it. The man, okay, so David James, everyone ought to be able to sail mail. Okay, he's back in Hong Kong where he lived for a number of years. Toothy, yeah, they are toothy, if nothing else. So there's my Tom's tangential. I had another T word, the alliteration that I used to use for that segment. After a long day of gin and tonics, you'll have the heebie-jeebies. Heebie-jeebies. Philip laughing. Yeah, their heydays, not their hair days. Oh man, look at that. Well, how did we survive the 70s, Julia?
Oh, easily.
Huh?
Easily.
What croutonicism was afoot in the 70s?
There's some good music.
Give me a break. 21 to 30 May, Hong Kong, San Francisco, Hong Kong, SF, and Hebe Sailing Federation, and Hebe Haven Yacht Club during the Course Women's Festival that John thinks is going to be terrific, and I think we all agree with him. And thank you, John, for your report, as always.
Yes.
And I hope John didn't get upset. He's asleep, I'm sure. What time is it in Hong Kong? 04:43. He better be asleep. I hope he's not up watching the show live. John Emmett, get to the front of the fleet with his regular report for Sailing Illustrated. Today's show number 701, the 9th of April, 2024. And let's do another Bravo Zulu. Julia, this one, Ted Ryman, the movie Saturday Night Fever was pretty cool back in its day. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
We'll get over that sometime. And this hardcover story today, this is the 53rd Trofeo Princesa Sofía in Mallorca and Palma. And it's the second to last big World Cup Olympic classes regatta. The next one is in a year in France. And this lady from Australia blew away the rest of the kiteboarding fleet, the kite foiling fleet. Look at the Australian kite boarder. Okay. They've got to get their names right, but this is from World Sailing. And the Australian kite boarder, kite foiler, most of the rest of the world would say, Breiana Whitehead has been awarded the trophy for overall winner of the 53rd Trofeo Princesa Sofía Mallorca, that's a mouthful, by Iberostar at the World Cup Series event in Palma. Julie Ahrens thinks I'm so cynical today. Did I get out of the wrong side of bed? She's only finding out the side of my cynicism, my cynical side.
Yeah.
I don't know what is going on with World Sailing, because I'm going to show you another thing that's right off their website. But and Clark's wondering, how did she have a net score that was higher than Daniela Moros's? We'll explain that, because this is going to be the subject of Correct or Crutonic here in today's segment. But Bravo Zulu Tour, nonetheless, she followed the rules and won the regatta. That is Breiana. It was the icing on the cake for Whitehead, among those tipped for medal contention at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games this summer, after a dramatic conclusion to the women's kiting event on another day of light breezes on the Bay of Palma. Twice, the overall leader, Daniela Moros, who's here from the Bay Area of the U.S., started a fraction too soon and hence fault started, picking up two costly UFD disqualifications. You can't throw those out. After Moros's successive errors, an amazed Whitehead only realized she had won many minutes after the last race when she reached her coach. So the way that this format is that they've set up is that you do all this this fleet racing.
Yeah.
Then they drop to the top 10 and they have the gold fleet, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Then they have a winner take all between what? The top two, or is it the top three? I think it's the top two. And she double faulted both of their starts, didn't know it. I don't know if she won either or both. I guess she won. But these things, it's now winner take all, like Sail GP, in the kite boards, the kite foils.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, including Alistair, the president of her federation, is questioning what is the deal here when you race all week, and Daniela won a bunch of the races and had a much lower composite score. How is it? Yeah, it's the top 10 that go into this final thing, apparently, Alistair Murray. And J. Frederick Bland is saying that it's Crutonic. Clark Chapin, so let me go on the record right now and say it's Crutonic. Stingray, well, you can tell by the way I use my walk. I'm a woman's man, no time to talk. Oh, he's back on the music.
Yeah.
So this is what happened, and this is why you get down to winner take all, and if you don't start properly, you're not going to win, even if you win those winner take those matches, or if you're first to finish in those winner take all matches. So Bravo Zulu Tour, she won. And here is one more comment from the press release that World Sailing put out, got picked up all over the place. In contrast to the 6 times world champion Moros, who admitted later she had pushed too hard, and when looking for her limits under pressure, Whitehead started cleanly each time to earn the event win. Both the Formula Kite, now they're calling it Formula Kite, which is the class name, and the overall regatta trophy. The latter means she follows in the footsteps of 2018 winners Matt Belcher and Will Ryan, the double Olympic 470 medalists and the other Australians to have earned this overall event title. It, quote, "It is so incredible to win the whole top trophy. I'm literally lost for words," unquote, grinned Whitehead, who grew up in North Queensland and is a convert to the new Olympic discipline from the 29er youth skiff class. Quote, "With so many great sailors, so many great sailors here, I am blown away. And to join so many great sailors who have won in the past, like Matt and Will in 2018, it is amazing."
Does that dismiss our lady from?
No, from the Olympics?
From
No,
the
no,
others.
she's still qualified. This is one of these pre-regattas. They're both qualified. And they will be racing, no doubt, against each other as arch rivals coming up.
right.
And there's one more regatta. There's the Hyère, Hyere in France, the big Olympic classes regatta, the World Sailing World Cup regatta coming up here, next month. But let me show you now the cover page of World Sailing's website when they announced her win. Yeah, it boggles the mind. When they announced her win. Here it is. And that is a screen grab, I kid you not, from World Sailing's website. Australian Formula Kite winner, at least they got the name right, claims overall trophy in Palma as Olympic rival falters. The title goes over her face. You see that?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. The other thing, I wish they'd stop using, anybody would stop, it's the trendy thing on websites to use the very light gray type and hard to read type because somehow people think, the graphic designers think it looks better. It doesn't look better. It's hard to read, especially, and my eyes are pretty good, notwithstanding I wear reading glasses, but they're not that strong. Look at this. You think I'm being cynical, Julie Ahrens? That's just sheer croutonicism. Who checks this stuff? Daniela was going into the final and only needed one race to win, but UFD'd twice. We should make up something for UFD other than
I don't want to.
uneffing
Yeah.
something or another. So I don't know what's going on with the World Sailing website. What were they thinking? I mean, come on, people. We're trying to popularize our sport, popularize our stars, and she is a, legit star and obviously cool person. Very short-staffed. Andrew McIrvin, that's no excuse. We know people are leaving left, right, and center. Well, we know that's happened. But, yeah, you fucked up. Excuse my language. I said it. Thank you, Ted Ryman. So, not correct. I see what? You see what? Look at Richard Rundle. Not about that. It is really bad graphic department. UFC. Okay, on to Daniela. I mean, she was philosophical, as she said in this quote. Despite her costly starting errors, morose, you could spell that M-O-R-O-S-E too,
Yeah.
I suppose, after the regatta. She
Right.
was not morose.
No.
Morose was not morose. She was philosophical about losing gold to Whitehead. Why'd they spell that wrong? Whitehead? Where did Whitehead come from? Her name's Whitehead, isn't it? With a
We don't
bigger
know.
prize ahead of the American at the Olympics this summer. This is still from the World Sailing press release. I am so disappointed. We learned so much. This is Daniela's talking now. We learned so much this week and as a team accomplished a lot of valuable lessons. Even though I was not the final result, it was not the final result I wanted. I am really good. I'm in a really good, I can't read, good spot overall, both mentally and in my racing on the water. Today's lesson is actually what I have been working on with my sports psychologist, to push hard when it really matters, when the pressure is on. And today it was good to find that upper limit. I mean, that sounds okay, Julia.
Yeah.
Nice quote. World Sailing's video reports on this important event are 1.5 minutes, not enough time to do justice to the event and the athletes. It's Jeff Waller down in Australia with World on Water. I agree, Jeff. It's not correct. It is not correct. Speaking of which, I have their video report on the outcome of this important regatta right here.
The final day of medal races saw nearly all the classes fighting for podium places on a light and fickle bay of Palma. In the Ilka 7 class, Britain's Mickey Beckett won his third Princess Sofía title with a day to spare. The Ilka 6 win went to Hungary's Maria Erdi. In the Formula Kite, Singapore's Max Mader retained his crown. While in the women's kite, medal race drama saw Australian Breiana Whitehead prevail. The Nacra fleet were again ruled by Italian duo Ruggero Tita and Caterina Banti. And in the mixed 470 class, Camille Lecointre and Jeremy Mion took the win for France. The 49er class saw Diego Botin and Florian Trittel from Spain on top. But in the FX fleet, Italy's Jana Germani and Giorgia Patuzzi won by just 1 point. In the men's IQ foil, Poland's Paweł Tarnowski has dominated all week, and he took the win in the men's, while in the women's IQ foil, a tight inter-Norwegian tussle saw Minna Mobek just on top. From all the fleets racing this week, the prestigious Princess Sofía trophy was awarded to Australian kiteboarder Breiana Whitehead.
Okay, nice video, but again, I agree with Jeff. It's too short. I mean, a minute and a half is exactly as he said. And why don't they feature some of the other people? Why don't they have interviews like Emmett does? I mean, why doesn't John just go run the video for World Sailing? I mean, Andy Rice does a nice job with the commentary, but he's obviously not producing the videos. Rick Bannerow saying possibly the worst wrap-up video I've ever seen. Well, at least for an important regatta, agreed. Yeah, there's back and forth. There's so foobar, there's snafu. You know what all those acronyms mean?
Yes.
Humble in victory, gracious in defeat. I think J. Frederick Bland is talking about the way to be in general. Okay, well, there's some work needs to be done, but one honorable mention we want to make here. She didn't win. She didn't get on the podium, but our Fozy, who's been on the show three times, Clark Chapin will remind at least twice that I recall, Sarah Douglas from Canada is qualified that country for, and she has won their trials, which was a combination of events, including this one. She is qualified for the Ilka 6 Olympics. She is Paris-bound, or more properly Marseille-bound. It's official. I have this from her website or her Instagram page this morning. I have won the Olympic trials, and I am being nominated to the Canadian Olympic team, Bravo Zulu. It's surreal that I'm going to be a two-time Olympian. While I may be in my boat alone, there are endless people who have helped me to get where I am today. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I've been impressed with her.
We have.
Yeah.
We have indeed, and we should get her back on, don't you think, Julia?
Yes.
Let's get her back on.
Let's do that.
Now, the Aussies, unlike World Sailing, you'd think the World Sailing could at least do as good a job as the Australian sailing team does, but they do a superb job because they embed Nathan Outteridge's brother, Bo, with the team, and he produces photos and images. I mean, photos and images are the same thing, photos and videos. And here is his wrap-up from the Sofía.
This week was pretty intense, obviously. Such a cool position to be fighting at the top with all the girls in the squad. It's new for us, and all I was thinking about all week was Wernie and TB and how they'd push for every metre into the last race of the last regatta, and I tried to do that, and I'm really proud of myself for never giving up.
In second place from Australia, Zoe Thompson.
It's a cuddle to have won the Princess Sofía trophy. Yeah, there's so many amazing sailors here, and yeah, to win the trophy is really, really cool. It's cool to win this event because I guess it means that I'm on the right track to the games, and yeah, just keep chipping away at everything that needs little perfections and to get better. And yeah, I'm excited. It's a nice confidence boost on the way.
The absolute winner of the 53rd edition of Her Royal Highness Princess Sofía Mallorca Ribeirostar Trophy is, from Australia in Formula Kite Women class, Breiana Whitehead.
Okay, bravo Zulu to her. I agree with Josh Toso. Not sure I understand how the dude who won the ILCA 7 going away, I think for the third time, by the way, didn't, and he won it before the medal race. He'd won it going into the medal race. I'm not sure I understand how the dude who won the ILCA 7 going away didn't, Mickey Beckett, didn't win the overall award. Quite agree. Clark saying that Sarah has only been the featured guest once. So, Julie, we got to get her back on.
Yes.
She's from the Caribbean, emigrated to Canada. She's learned to sail east of Toronto at a club there. And let's see if we can get her back on at some point.
Yeah.
What sound is in the background? I don't know, Ed. Wild background music, Baton Rouge is saying. Julia.
No, I'm just saying that we featured her, but not live.
I think you're right. I think that's exactly right. Not live. We've had her live once. I remember we did have her live once from from a regatta, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Clark will remember. Show 222. 500 shows, almost 500 shows ago.
Yeah.
How can I can't remember last Friday's show.
No. Yeah, neither. But anyway, she handled herself so well.
She's terrific. She is indeed. Bravo Zulu to Breiana Whitehead, not Whitehead World Sailing. How can somebody not check stuff? I know they're short-staffed, and I tell you what, their real big problem, Julia, is this guy, Alistair Fox, who is the competitions director and has run the Olympics, at least the last, 2 Olympics, you all will know on here, he's gone or is going. He's leaving. And how they're going to run this Olympic event without him there, or the equivalent. I don't know if they've hired his replacement or not yet, but bloody hell.
World Sailing's participation in the Olympics.
Yeah, in World Sailing's segment.
Yeah.
Now, no proofreader, Julie Ahrens is saying, right. Now, speaking of which.
Yes.
One hears from a highly reliable source.
Yes, not to be revealed.
Not to be revealed because he asked not to be revealed, and it's because his wife is involved, and he doesn't want to compromise his wife's involvement. But his wife, who is a television person of considerable repute and experience, has just been asked by the IOC to help with the next Olympics. And she thought that was the Paris Olympics. No, she's been asked to help with the Winter Olympics. Because see, IOC, the so-called Olympic Broadcast, OBS, Olympic Broadcasting Service, not to be confused with our OBS software that runs the show here. She's been asked to help with the Winter Olympics. In the same breath, they've just found out, the OBS has, that the Paris Olympic television unit is so screwed up. They hired a guy who was a deputy cameraman in the Tour de France to run the media center. And the guy doesn't know his proverbial, you-know-what from his ankle about how to run a media center, let alone how to run a broadcast. And now they're discovering the entire Paris host broadcast unit is
for all sports. As
Commodore Harry Anderson would say, is screwed is to a fare thee well. You don't remember what he would say. Talk about FUBAR.
Yeah.
For all sports.
For all sports.
All sports. That's the central television unit that the organizing committee provides to the and the OBS is going to have to go in and sort that out. There is no, maybe you interviewed his replacement at the last show. Graham Sweeney knows something I don't know. Ed, there is no reason to insult the Nats like that. Nats, by definition, are goal-oriented and dedicated to the goal. Yeah, match racing, Larry Kennedy's reminding us, is back in New York, Oyster Bay this weekend. Dave Perry coaching the clinic before the David Storrs match racing. We're got a little match racing video at the end of this segment. But before we get to that and more, SailGP and the America's Cup, I got another video segment because we have an AA
Good.
Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote to follow up on that win by Breiana, and his thoughts on the format for the kite foil.
Right.
G'day, Tom, Julia, and all the Fosey. This is Alistair with AAAA, Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote for the week. Something a bit different for you. I got a secret to share with you all the Fosey, as well as I think I've got 3 sailboats now, and maybe looking for another one. I do have a powerboat as well. So here I am navigating my powerboat back to its berth in beautiful Meetung. Meetung is on the Gippsland Lakes, which is a sailors' playground on the east coast of Australia, the southeast coast actually, and it's a wonderful, wonderful place. We have Etchells Nationals and 420 Nationals and like lots of good events there. Great little yacht club, great town. And one of the best things about it is about the waters here is that there's a speed limit for boats 8 metres and under. Sorry, 8 metres and over. And my boat is 7.95 metres. How good is that, eh? And it happened by accident, it happened by luck. So I got a good one there. I had a bit of a chat online to Tom during the week about the vagaries of the scoring at Palma, and just thought I'd just share a few comments with you. I mean, it can be pretty tough to understand. And what triggered it for me was waking up in the morning and finding out that Daniela Moroz had not won the kite event. It had actually been won by Breiana Whitehead, who's an Aussie. I was pretty happy about that, except I thought it doesn't seem like the right way of determining the winner. And the way it goes is you have, let's say you have 50, 60, 70, 80 kites, whatever you got. The top 10 at the end of the week, and by this time you've sailed about 13, 14 races. The top 10 go through to the final, and then it's a winner take all in the final. Now the point spread at the end of the week of the top 10 was 100 points. In other words, Daniela had racked up 20 points, and in 10th place was the Chinese woman who racked up 120 points and had not beaten Daniela in a single race. So you can race 13 races, you go out in the winner takes all final, and the person who's come 10th can win the overall event, and against the person who's won virtually every race. I think Daniela won 8 out of the 12 races or 13 races. So anyway, Breiana sailed pretty well, as Australian, and she took home the gold medal, and we were pretty happy about that. But she only beat Daniela, I think, in 3 or 4 out of the 13 races that they sailed against each other. So I just ask, is that fair? Well, I understand that we want to make a spectacle out of the end of an event and make it appeal to non-sailors that get all that. But then there's the inconsistency. In the men's kite, the top 4 men went through to the winner-take-all final. So first to 4th went out, and they raced against each other. And I think that's probably pretty fair. You know, you got a bit on the line, but hey, top 4 have filled to the top. But then why is it 4 in the men's and 10 in the women's? And then there's the medal race in other classes where the top 10 go through the medal race, and the point scoring still takes place, but with double the points. So it takes on double the significance of any other race. But you can still have won the championship before the medal race. But usually it makes that medal race pretty exciting. And I think, it's got some merit too. It sort of suits the best of both worlds. And then there's our traditional method of scoring regattas that we've sailed all these years, where at the end of the week, lowest point score wins. Simple as that. Well, that rewards the person or crew that's done the best job during the week, but not necessarily does it provide a lot of excitement or drama in the last race to get that. So, it's a good item. It's a good topic for discussion. We can kick it around. There's many ways of doing it, but all I'd say is the lack of consistency is confusing. I'd forgotten that the top 10 kites went through to the final in the women, so I was shocked to find out that Daniela Moroz hadn't won. It's the lack of consistency. Here's me not really being totally aware of it and struggling to follow the inconsistency. Imagine how the layman feels, somebody who's trying to follow sailing, trying to understand, perhaps the person I'm explaining it to, explaining all these systems. Why can't we just simplify just about everything in sailing? That's got to be a goal for all of us. Anyway, bit of editorial comment as I cruise around on my powerboat here in Meetung, please don't let the word get out that I've got a powerboat. It's a very tightly held secret, but the cat might be out of the bag. Who knows? But it's not that bad. A lot of older guys go this way, and it's got a lot of things going for it. But I'll keep sailing. All right, folks, that's it for AAAA checking out, and looking forward to the show. Bye.
Well, Julia, do you agree with him?
Yes, and I'm thinking how nice it is to be fun and wise.
Yeah, what a guy.
Yeah.
How lucky we are to have not only John, but also Alistair. Now, you got to do after all that, is this correct or Crutonic? And the thing that persuades me, you can argue about winner take all. That's what Russell's doing now with Sail GP. And I think Alistair's strongest, besides the differentiation between the men and the women, which doesn't seem correct as we keep trying to drag everything the same for men and women. But the idea that the medal races, which I think are bad enough, but okay, we're kind of into it. It provides a focus. And if like Mickey Beckett, you've done really well in the previous series, you still have to sail in the race so you don't get disqualified because they want the names and the faces. I get that.
Yeah.
I get it. But to now have that for all of the other 9 classes, or eight, I guess, classes, and then do something different for classes 9 and 10, what are they thinking? How do you explain that? Why? And somebody will come back and say, well, in the discipline of rowing, they do it this way, and the other discipline in rowing, they do it that way. Yeah, maybe. But our sport is so Crutonic, so difficult to understand that this seems...
Gotta obey all the rules.
Chris Exley, Crutonic, consistency, please. I don't know how the rest of you feel. Look at the Final Four baseball. The winner is the winner, but they had to beat everyone in single elimination. Yes. I think he means basketball. He did mean basketball, and yeah, exactly. My prediction is that exactly 0 Fosey will vote for correct. Okay, I think Clark. You think Clark's right?
Yeah, he's always right. Unfortunately,
he's always right, but
almost always right.
Okay, we won't even belabor this point because I think all agree with Alistair. Thank you, Alistair, for that great report, and I think we do all agree with you, which will move us smartly forward an hour and 10 minutes into this. It should be earn points, period, be consistent, Julie Ahrens is saying. It's Crutonic. Jody Shields says it's Crutonically correct. Mm-hmm. And cycling has a myriad of finishing granting positions. I'm not smart enough to vote correct. They're flowing in here now. If you are OCS and you can go from 1st to 10th overall, often confused, Clark says, but never in doubt. Okay, I'm not even going to wait for the rest of you. I think you're all more or less in agreement, no doubt. Julia, it's time for this day in history.
My.
Do you know what happened on this day in history?
I forgot to look.
On the 9th of April, 1963.
63.
Here's your first clue.
Yeah, Winston.
Winston who?
Churchill.
Of course. Regularly regarded as one of the greatest prime ministers, Churchill led Britain to victory against the Axis powers during World War II and served a second term in office from 51 to 55. Mm-hmm. Okay, what happened on this day in history, 1963, and no, he did not die.
He had a victory in Parliament.
Bay of Pigs. What? Steve Gruber, what in God's name does Winston Churchill have to do with the Bay of Pigs? Maybe he had something to do with it. I don't know. He died in 65. He was knighted? No. I'm surprised nobody's got this. I can hear the Googling going. He's Google. I thought it was J. Edgar Hoover. It looks a little bit like Hoover.
He does.
The Cuban embargo, no? What happened? Here's another clue.
55.
He ran out of Cuban cigars. Now, Ted Ryman, that was bloody clever.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah.
You got to give Ryman credit for that. He smiled. Andrew DeVoe. Says. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll give you another clue because obviously this is not going so well, Julia. Here's the clue.
It was made at Russie. My
You know, his Iron Curtain speech was quite a bit earlier, I think, than 63. There, he was made.
an honorary citizen in the United States.
Exactly right. There it is. He was not only made an honorary citizen, he was the first person to be named an honorary citizen. And it was enacted by the Senate and the House and directed the president to make the proclamation that Sir Winston Churchill shall be an honorary citizen of the United States of America. April 9th, 1963. The Iron Curtain speech was quite a bit earlier, 1946. Mm-hmm. How many other, for extra credit, how many other honorary citizens have there been?
I don't know.
His mother was American, Joe Holtzman reminds us. Thank
Yes.
you. Alan Long says, I was not aware of this. He was the first, and since then, there have been 8, I think, total. Our buttons are making noise on the desk here. People will think I'm Crutonic. 8 others. Sister Teresa was one.
Mm-hmm.
The French General Lafayette was one who fought for way back in the Revolutionary War on behalf of the Americans in Newport, Rhode Island. There's a big statue to him in Newport, Rhode Island, the French general. But nonetheless, it was today in 1963 that Winston Churchill became the first honorary U.S. citizen this day in history, 9th of April, 1963. And now his bust shuttles in and out of the Oval Office, Andrew McIrvin reminds us. He won the final race in the Olympics after qualifying last, Jody. Good one. Now, that's it. That's it. Honorary citizen.
I never knew there was such a thing.
I'd heard that. I knew that had happened, but I didn't realize he was the first, and I didn't realize there were 8 others. 7 others, I think. 8 total from memory. It was late last night when I did that segment, so how would I remember? I can't. Speaking of remembering, we talked about this on the show on Friday, and several of you sent us the big photo the images of the reveal of Alinghi Red Bull Racing.
Mm-hmm.
Great stuff. The glittering star-studded reveal of the Swiss Boat One at their team base in Barcelona. And I have found a video worth running on this channel, on our show, because there are lots of videos out there, and most of them, frankly, are
Crutonic.
I was going to say crap, but I don't want to use coarse language. Matt Sheehan did this video, and it's terrific. Have a look.
Revealing the first of the new generation AC75s was a big deal. In recent weeks, the Swiss had hinted that their new AC75 would be radical. And now we've seen the first few bits of her, they were right. Alinghi Red Bull Racing are the first Cup team to reveal their weapon of choice for the 37th America's Cup, and the launch was done with all the usual Alinghi flair. But for many Cup watchers, this was more than just a glitzy ceremony. This is the first of a new generation. At the very least, there'll be no confusing this one with their previous generation AC75, Boat Zero as they refer to it. So what stands out? First, there's a chine in the bow section. This could be to help with the bigger sea state in Barcelona. We've seen it on other high-performance boats like the Imocas and even as far back as a Volvo 70. Her raised foredeck makes her look like a giant international moth. This could be an aerodynamic feature or to satisfy the minimum volume restriction in the class rule. The small crew cockpits are a departure from last time, as there are now only 8 crew, including the 4 cyclors on board. Below the waterline there's a deep aggressive skeg that runs the full length of the hull. This is a key feature that makes the entire sail plan package more efficient by creating an end plate effect and sealing the hull off against the water's surface. This is very important when it comes to getting the boat up onto her foils. Of course, there's nothing new in this, but it's a more aggressive design than we've seen before. It's very flat too, with no rocker. But the most noticeable feature is the radical cutaway stern. With no running backstays this time around, there's very little structural loading at this end of the boat. Instead, the mast is supported mainly by the main sheet. This means that weight can be saved and used elsewhere in the structure to hit the all-up total weight of just under 7 tons. The mast step is also quite interesting. Following on from the Kiwi's interpretation of the rule last time, the heel is mounted on a pedestal below the level of the deck. The maximum length of the mast is measured to the deck. Placing the rotating heel lower than the deck means that the mast tube extension is added to give a slightly longer mast and deeper mainsail. The Swiss bought the Kiwi's first AC75 from the last Cup, so perhaps it's not that surprising. But there was one area that Alinghi definitely didn't want us to see: the foils. The rules say that boats can't be shrouded, but that doesn't include the foils. So, dressed up in a couple of box-like structures that made it look like their AC75 was wearing winter boots, we'll just have to wait until they launch to see these foils. So the Swiss team told us to expect radical, and they weren't kidding. Meanwhile, American Magic's boat has arrived in Barcelona, followed shortly by the British machine. And with the launch of the Italian and Kiwi boats rumoured to be very soon, it's going to be an exciting month.
If you're not already a subscriber to Matt Sheehan's YouTube channel, Planet Sail, I commend it to you. He's been doing things that are mostly longer videos that I find, a little too long for our purposes, but that was only 4.5 minutes and change. And yeah, Tom Morris of Mozzie Sales is also doing some great YouTube analysis, and he had the first one out. I think probably Matt looked at some of what Tom Morris had said, and we'll get both of them on the show. I'll do the best I can to get them both on the show in due course. But Matthew Sheehan, that was well written, well produced.
Yes. I understood all of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Superb.
Yes.
Superb piece of work. And he's a long time friend or acquaintance anyway. We're not big drinking buddies by any means, but he's done a good job for the sport over the long haul, and never more than that video.
Yes.
Right?
Excellent.
The people looked like bats hovering over the boat. I had an inverted bow chine on my 1992 18-foot skiff. We added it to the 49er and the 96. Now it's on all sorts of boats, Andrew DeVoe is saying. Mm-hmm. A big moth. A big month. Don Lunabos is saying a big month. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know about the windshield stingray, but we'll learn more. We'll see more as things get revealed in Barcelona here, and no doubt Matt and others will be covering that for us. Now, we told you that this boat was en route. That is the Ineos Britannia boat. We told you that on Friday's show and had some pictures and so on. Now we know the details. And by the way, Andrew Pindar, GAC Pindar, also was involved in the logistics, heavily involved, for Ineos Britannia as they shipped from the UK and arrived Saturday in Barcelona to their team base. And here's how they did it, according to their website. Ineos Britannia's race boat for the 37th Cup has made the 1,000-mile journey from its UK base in North Hampshire, Hamptonshire, to Barcelona. The British Challenger's AC-75 left, Turweston, I guess, airfield, on Tuesday, the 2nd of April, and traveled by road to Portsmouth. We were speculating whether they went to Southampton or Portsmouth, where it began its sea crossing to Bilbao on a ferry. Went to Bilbao. The race boat, known as RB3, was then transported by road to Ineos Britannia's Barcelona base, arriving on Saturday, the 6th of April. Ineos Britannia's team principal and skipper, Sir Ben Ainslie, said it was a relief, quote unquote,
I'm sure.
to have RB3 arrive in Barcelona. So there you have it, Julia. Now you know how they got there.
Yep.
They went to only as far as Bilbao, and then they transshipped down across the country. No wonder it took them a while. Interesting. Okay, well, so we know that American Magic's boat's already there, and Terry Hutchinson, the president of the racing organization, part of their syndicate, gave this interview updating on the succession of boats from their B1 and B2 from the last Cup to now B3, which is in Barcelona.
We've had some great questions through our social media channels about the progression of New York Yacht Club American Magic through AC37. And when you reflect back to the fall of 2022, we launched Patriot after a refit. Taking the learnings really from AC36 and applying them to our full-scale test bench. And so that Patriot session led into the delivery of our first AC40, and then again into the delivery of our second AC40. The first quarter and the second quarter of 2023 were fully focused on foil development in the two AC40s. Then you go into the second half of 2023 where we got into more racing focus. We were in Villanova, we were in the final sign-off of our foil development, and then we ended up in Jeddah. We went back into Patriot for final systems development, cycler development, and really using the final opportunity of our test bench, full-scale test bench, to sign off on areas that we wanted to develop. That wrapped up in January of 24. Then you go straight back to two-boat sailing. We get Magic back from Jeddah, and we set ourselves up to get into sail development in January, February of 24, and now we're back into two-boat racing. But it all leads to Boat 3. It all leads to the time where we then will have roughly 10 weeks before we get close to racing Boat 3. Then we'll have another 4 weeks of informal racing with the other challengers, and then we get into the Challenger Selection Series. But all of these milestones are always pointed and focused towards taking delivery of our race boat.
Yeah, our counter was not counting on that video. We have our new counter we've been using for the last couple of shows. That sounds good, but design is never a straight line. Baton Rouge is saying, yeah, okay. So that's American Magic in Barcelona, and we'll see what happens next with them and when they splash. And the French boat is en route, or maybe he's already there, but they had, didn't we discuss that they probably had to go all the way down around the Pyrenees and to the Coast Road. Yeah. We know that they're fitting the boat out, the Italian boat out in Cagliari down in the south of, we had that all laid out in the previous show. Hope you go have a look at it. That got picked up also by Jeff Waller.
Oh, good.
And running his show, World on Water, and the big weekly show that he does. Pretty good decision, Jonathan Frank, who's, by the way, appropriately in Frankfurt. And he took a United flight over there, and he must be over and about to fly back, I guess. I think he's been there for a day. Yeah, pretty good decision to use Patriot as a mule, and a long, not enough fanfare, kind of anticlimactic for the occasion, in my opinion. Well, I don't think you can blame the teams for that, because they're wanting to get down to business and get on with life. And they're frantically busy, and I can guarantee you, from having done all these campaigns, except for this current one, really, and the previous one, I didn't do Bermuda per se, but these are like political campaigns, and the time pressure is so intense because it's April. I was thinking about this in the shower. It's April. It's only 5 months: May, June, July, August, September, and they're in the racing, October, November. So every minute, every second that you're not doing, even if you go take some time off, and you have to take some time off to refresh and get yourself and the team, fixed up mentally and otherwise. But every second you're not focused fully on this, you feel like you're wasting away in Margaritaville. And it does. It makes your heart, it makes your brain, and it's the immense pressure. And then people start making mistakes because you're under such immense pressure. Everybody's got these long PERT charts with you have your morning meetings with the senior management, and you see where you are on the chart and your key date schedule. Oh, we're behind in that, or we're ahead in that, or we're over budget in that. inevitably.
Yes.
And these campaigns are tough. Okay, enough of all that. Let's move to Sail GP, because you all remember this incident weekend before last in Christchurch.
Yes.
The moment that Australia lost 8 season points for hitting a race mark. And here's that video again.
New Zealand need to get into that boundary for protection. All the boats start to turn, but they've got to keep clear of Australia there on board Canada. Big contact. What? That was unthinkable there. They weren't in the boundary. I don't know that Canada can turn in front. That's a massive incident there. Oh my word. Damage. Major damage to the Australian boat. That's a day ender potentially there.
That reminds me of two things. Not only the collision, but how croutonnic the commentary is. Oh, man. Okay, well, it was a big deal. It was a big prang, as you Brits, you Commonwealth people would say, and Tommy was not amused because he thought he was doing the right thing by running the buoy over, which is not exactly a buoy. As you can see, it's a raft. And his choice was between, he said, keeping people safe or hitting a race mark. And he appealed the decision of the umpires that dinged him all those points. And he said it was unfair as he slammed the umpire's decision to uphold the penalty for the Christchurch Mark collision. And I have a video of him that's not very good quality, but I grabbed it as best I could of him explaining. It's fairly long. It's a 4-minute video. Let's see how it plays and see if it plays better than it did last time I looked at it.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to give everyone an update on how the appeal process went for Team Australia. Unfortunately for us, it didn't go well, and the decision is upheld, and we receive the maximum amount of points, which is 8 season points and 12 points for the event in Christchurch. I'm really upset by this. This is double the highest ever penalty points ever given, and the way it's defined is reckless sailing. So in their mind, this was the most reckless sailing that we've ever seen in Sail GP, which is definitely not the case. The fact is that we would have been no better off actually doing a reckless manoeuvre and running straight through Canada, injuring people. We would have received exactly the same amount of points penalty. What we did was we got in a situation where we were pinned by Spain on our inside. We could not jibe. The boats on the outside of us had boundary room protection, and we went into a jibe where we turned hard and we happened to hit a race committee mark. But we wanted to avoid collision between the boats. We wanted to avoid the chance of people getting hurt. So I personally made the decision to turn straight into the mark, which took us out of the event, destroyed our front beam. And so for me to say that that was a reckless action and give us the maximum amount of points for reckless sailing, I think that's totally unfair. Reckless sailing would have been sailing straight through Canada. So I'm really upset by all this. The race committee, actually hats off to them. They admitted that they had made a bit of a mistake. Mark 1, out of Mark 1, there was no option to jibe. And so with an obstruction right there. And then the finish marks, they said, look, that was our mistake. They shouldn't have been in that position. And it all happened at the bottleneck. We round Mark 1, there's no option to jibe. The boundary and the ley line are exactly the same point, and there happens to be finish marks right in the middle of all that. So yeah, look, we've got to move on. It's really frustrating for me. I feel like the umpires don't understand how hard it is to sail these boats, and they look at it from a computer screen over in the UK, and we actually have offered them multiple times. We've offered to the umpires to come on our boat as six sailor to see what it's like from our perspective and how hard these boats are to sail. But they deemed that we could have wiggled the boat through in between the two boats. But yeah, look, it's an upsetting decision. I don't feel like they really grasp how hard these boats are to sail. But we've got to move on. It's
The good news is we have a new front beam on the way from the UK. We're going to send some people over and they're going to look at fitting that to our boat and repairing our boat, and we will be racing in Bermuda, which is exciting for us. Unfortunately, our season points have taken a big hit. We worked so hard for 9 events to wiggle out, to get out to a 1 point here, 2 points there, 3 points here, to get out to a 8-point lead over the Kiwis. And in one event, there's an 18-point swing the other way. And so it doesn't look like we'll be winning the season points this year, but we have a chance of winning the grand final. So that's what all our efforts are going to be focused on. We're looking forward to Bermuda, getting back there, and we want to get back in the game and try to make that final in San Francisco. A huge thank you to all our supporters, all the messages we've received. We really appreciate it. Even though the jury might not think we did the right thing, I think we did the right thing. And I'll do it again tomorrow and receive the same points if I had to. So just thank you for all the messages of support, and the Aussie team will be back stronger for the next event. Thank you.
Okay, Julia. So I apologize for that video. It was the quality of their video, which, I'm grabbing these things off, I think in this case, Facebook or Instagram, something, and there was some problems with it, obviously. But at least we could hear his audio clearly. Mm-hmm. He doth protest a little too much. That was,
In the end, I think he was right.
But I agree with you, Julia. I think the guy's got a really good point. And thankfully, there were no people or dolphins injured in the collision. So it is an issue. And I know Russell wants to keep those boats apart, and I don't blame him, because, their boat, this is not, I don't think it's owned by the team. I think it's owned by the league, because they don't have an overall owner sponsor. But totally agree with you, Tom. Course configuration is wrong. I think he means Tom, Alistair Murray saying with Tom Slingsby, course configuration is wrong. Having the finish marks at the first jibe point. Yeah, that's an issue, obviously. I mean, you got to keep, when the boats are going this fast and there's you got to clean it up. But anyway, you heard at the end of that, the good news is that Tom is confirming that Australia will race in Bermuda. He's confirmed that the team will be on the starting line next month. It comes after Australia sustained that big prang, as you all know. Mm-hmm. But Slingsby has now confirmed repairs to his F-50 will be made in time, and Australia will be on the start line. I told you, I predicted this last week. Yeah. They'd be on the line. You got to have these, even if they had to steal a boat from somebody else. This is the big arch rivalry here now going between Tom and Pete with the Kiwis. Speaking on social media, Slingsby said, quote, "The good news is that we have a new front beam on the way from the UK, and we're going to send some people over who will fit that to our boat, and we will be racing in BDA."
Oh, good.
Looking ahead, Slingsby said, he was looking forward to bouncing back from the devastating 12-point event point and 8 season point penalties incurred for by the collision in Christchurch. It doesn't look like we'll be winning the season points this year, but we have a chance of winning the grand finale. So that's what all our efforts are going to be focused on, he said, going forward.
They won't make any revision to the.
No, he lost the appeal. So there's the standings. New Zealand leading by 11 points. By 9 points. By 9 points. Pete Burling and co. on top by 9 points. So Tommy is, I think, with the regatta in Bermuda and then in Canada and then New York. So there's 4 regattas left, and they probably aren't going to get back on top of the overall leader board, but they just have to be in the top 3 to make it into the grand finale, the grand final here in San Francisco. And if they do that, they have a chance of winning overall yet again. So we shall see a little duct tape, and they're good to go. Boomer Bland is saying. Yeah. And Stingray is wondering if SailGP's Otto, with his paintbrush, we ran that April Fool's Day. That was a good video. Mm-hmm. Whether he'll make it to Bermuda in time, I don't know. But there's the standings. And Spain also, Diego Botín, who's off doing his Olympic thing now, and did well. They were on the podium or did they even win in Spain at the Sofia?
I think they did.
I think they did. I think they won in the 49er, in the men's 49er. But they were certainly in the hunt, and we shall see what happens here in Bermuda. That's coming up next month, a month from now, the 4th, 5th of May, the Apex Group Bermuda Sail GP. Okay, that gets us to the last leg at least. And we're getting ready now for the Governor's Cup. We're going to start doing our Road to the Governor's Cup with the interviews of the 12 skippers who will be named. 4 of them have already been named. We'll bring you that either on Friday or next Tuesday. But we've got a little bit of an interesting video about youth match racing in particular, but match racing in general, that I thought was very instructive, thanks to Harkin. They call it their Blockhead series. It's their video series, but quick and short and sharp description of match racing.
Hi, I'm Zach West, winner of the 2023 Harkin Youth International Match Racing Regatta, and this is a Blockhead video. So match racing is a little bit different to fleet racing. Same kind of idea, you still want to finish first, but instead it's a 1v1 style racing. So both teams so it's 2 boats, both teams will enter into the start line at 4 minutes to go. They'll have 4 minutes to basically try and attack each other, jostle for position, to try and end up with the best time position you can relative to the other boat. And then it's usually it's a 2-lap windward leeward with a gate, and then straight through the finish line to finish. So it's pretty much the same premise as fleet racing, just for match racing, the whole focus is on the other boat, not a whole bunch of boats. Yeah, so winning the start is really important. You effectively spend the whole 4 minutes before when you enter into the start line to the go, basically joshing for positions and trying to get penalties. The whole aim of it is to come off really clean from the start and either be even or ahead of the other team. So the whole point of that 4 minutes, literally 4 minutes just to come off in a position that is advantageous. Once you're past there, all the boats are exactly the same. It's basically like one design. It's not just your lasers, Etchells, those kind of boats. And then, yeah, from there, it's just the boat speed usually is pretty much the same. So it's all about, if you can just get that small advantage, then you have control going into scenarios and you can control the game, and the other team has to try and either break that control or try and get a penalty or try and break. But basically, if you can start in front, quite often you end up winning. I like to think I know the rules quite well. We do bring the rule book out as much as we can to try and learn and practice. But yeah, the rules knowledge is very, very important. You end up having on-water umpires. So usually you have about 2 umpires, and then sometimes down to 1, and they will follow both the boats with the boat's perspectives. And then what we'll do during the race is, if we have a piece of the other boat, we'll try and get a penalty on the other team to try and put them at a disadvantage. So for example, you might even give off a short position or short lead. If you get a penalty on the team, they then have to do a circle, you don't. So it's really important for you to know the rules and exactly know where to push it in, where not to push it as well.
Your favorite club. Okay, this goes on, and I just they to start now talking less about match racing and more about this Harkin event. Harkin's been sponsoring this event down there for a long, long time in at the Royal Prince Alfred in Sydney, and it's a terrific event, and we commend them, that is with the Harkin videos, to you, and go have a look. And they've done any number of others. I played, I guess, 1 or 2 others, Julie, as we've gone along. And we'll get into this further, the youth match racing component of our summer season. And I'll be doing the live broadcast with Andy Rose, Chris Bretschker, Matt Whitfield. Clear as mud. Yeah, it was okay. Come on, Jeff Waller, it was okay. Take good care, Gordon Smith. I hope you're out of the hospital. He's been struggling a bit. Yeah, on the water umpiring, great innovation, Tom. Well, I hope it was. I think it was too. They're using it everywhere. I thought it would just be used in match racing and maybe in team racing when we started it back in 1988, and of course they're using it in the medal races and in the professional sailing and Sail GP.
It makes a lot of sense.
Everywhere else. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, Julia.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. Time to wrap this one up. And a couple of submissions today from Graham Sweeney. This was his first. I say, Watson, I think we found a boat.
No ship.
No ship, Sherlock.
Sherlock.
Okay, it's a bit corny, but thanks, Graham. It was good.
Yeah.
It's it's boating related.
I like it.
We got to get. In England, they drive on the left. Where I live, we drive on what's left.
Oh my gosh.
I dedicate this to everyone in my home state of Michigan, because let me tell you, this time of year, as it warms up and then it thaws and then it freezes, you have chills and freezes and then warms up and things expand and contract and the roads go to hell and you're dodging the potholes and the top surface or two of the resurfaces of recent resurfaces go away. It's just astonishing how the battle of the roads. And, I think for a while, Julia, in Michigan, it was state policy, that being the home of the Motor City and Detroit and the car industry, the original home. It was state policy to not only have crappy roads, so they banged your cars up and had to replace them.
Mm-hmm.
But Clark Chapin or Joe Holtzman will tell me whether it's true that Michigan had a policy to salt the roads instead of just using gravel and sand and so on to keep them from being slippery in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
Salt the roads to cause the cars to rust,
Mm-hmm.
so you'd have to replace your cars more often.
Yes.
We all rusted our cars out. Unbelievable. Now, where we started, we're going to wrap up, and that is on the eclipse. This courtesy of Ed Worley. We have a lunar eclipse when the Earth gets between the sun and the moon. We have a solar eclipse when the moon gets between the sun and the Earth. And then we have an apocalypse
Yes.
if the sun ever gets between the moon and the Earth. And then at the bottom we have apocalypse. Yeah, that was clever. Corny, but clever.
Yeah.
And I thought with that, speaking of apocalypses, this guy has got to go. We won't talk about lips or anything with him, but the non-sailing CEO, I saved it to the D block here. He's got to go. And U.S. Sailing's got to drop that lawsuit. They got to negotiate, come to terms, get out of that for the sake of our Olympians, for the sake of the sport. The sooner the better. I know Clark Chapin's helping to work on that as well. I hope he is. But this guy, in the meantime, get rid of him, find a sailor. There's lots of good sailors, young and not so young, who would go into that role and do a good job for our sport. Ding, 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 Ed Worley is saying, yeah, finally, they're waiting. When did I drink, drink, drink? They're all thirsty because
Finally.
I didn't get around to that segment. The non-sailing CEO has got to go. And we got to go, too. We're to the finish line. Julia, it is your witness.
Yes. Like, follow, and share. This great news. Everybody really likes it, and share especially.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And comments are welcome, even in replay. We always remind those of you, because many more people watch it in replay than live. It's more fun in live because we have the comments.
Right.
And we have the back and forth. What was that, J. Frederick Bland? The haircut alone disqualifies him from associating with sailors. Well, we're not going to get personal here. No personal attacks. I mean, my hair, I have nothing to write home about. Your hair looks nice even under the headset, Julia. I like your flags there.
I do too.
You match the Swedish flags. They were there once before, and I put them back when I rearranged the studio, and I did this. I put this, what do you call this? Salt lamp. Somebody knows what this thing, not Afghanistan, it's some kind of it's supposed to bring good vibes.
Yes.
And I've had it here sitting around the apartment. It's been moved from here to there, and I thought, let's put it in the studio and see if it brings us good vibes.
Sure.
And good health, why not? And I moved the flags over there.
Yeah, I like the flags there.
Thank you also for your support via Patreon. Many of you do give us $1 or $2 or $5 or $8 or more per month. Patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. And Don Lunabos, thank you. Clark Chapin, thank you. Graham Sweeney, that's just a lump of rock that Mish should have put on the roads. Salzburg. Nah, I don't think Fritz Mueller. Are you in Salzburg or are you in Miami, Fritz? I don't know. I thought, Julia, given our age, we should have a lava lamp back there. Huh?
No.
We could have a lava lamp back there.
I know.
Huh?
No.
From the 50s or 60s? I think 60s. Weren't the lava lamps from the 60s?
Yeah.
Or the 70s even?
Yeah.
And the little blobs go up, and
they're
very
down.
they're very trendy. They're very trendy now. They're back in fashion, along with with green shag carpet and orange shag carpet. We were talking, and the tequila. Oh, God.
All right.
And thanks to everybody who gives us images and video and audio for these shows. Julia?
Yes.
Any final thoughts?
We keep going on and on.
Joe Holtzman says, "Ugh, lava lamp, ugh."
Yeah.
Ugh is indeed. A lot of people gave us, and a thank you especially to the 12. You see in the middle there, to a third or so of the way down, the International 12 Meter Association, Gary Jobson, who's here at St. Francis on Wednesday, by the way, for the Wednesday yachting luncheon. Yeah, thanks to them for letting us have that new video, which is in the back, along with that music, which I found online with my daughter, Meg. Mm-hmm. So we have our new intro. Finally, we have one last Bravo Zulu, and congrats to a longtime friend, the superb photographer, lives in Newport, Rhode Island, Corey Silken, or up in that corner of the country, good friend of many of you. I'm sure Graham Sweeney knows him well. I know that Rick Bannerow does as well. And Rick sent this image to me because Corey and Stephanie got married on a J-boat, we think. We're not sure. We think they got married over the weekend. Not married. He proposed and she accepted on the bow of a J-boat. What a fabulous shot.
It is a great shot.
And I don't think Rick took it. I think we'll find out who took it. But yeah. Mark Michelson, among many others, when this was posted on Facebook, said, "Congratulations to Corey." Brings a whole new meaning to pickup crew. You like that?
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah.
Okay. Corey Silken and Stephanie, Bravo Zulu. Okay, that gets us to the last bit here. We hope to see you on Friday. Have a great rest of your week. In the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.